Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with today's guest, but as always, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, these are all companies I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. You should be using them too. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be really glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Sideline Interactive Indoor Score Tables and Video Boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive Indoor Score Table. We use it for home games, of course, but we also use it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. Their products are tremendously versatile and their customer service just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Huddle. You know, as a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just love the tools that the Huddle platform provides. Go to huddle.com, join the millions of users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. We'd also like to thank Home Campus. Scheduling, rosters, results, facilities, communication. Home Campus does all of these and more, does it better, and they do it faster than the other platforms. Did I mention athletic eligibility and clearance? That one alone is a game changer. Go to homecampus.com to get started. That's homecampus.com. And with all of our sponsors, make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to thank our friends at Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Now, Wall of Fame has been helping schools bring their legacy to life for over a decade, but their new content creation service takes it to a whole new level. Their talented team of writers and creators are going to come up with compelling narratives that you can then post on social media. You really got to see this platform. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Click on Content Services. As I like to say, you're going to be very glad that you did. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Gipper. Gipper is the modern marketing platform that makes it easy for you to make your program look like it's Division I. Make it look like it's professional grade. Go to Gipper.com. See why they're number one in athletic marketing. I'll tell you why. One reason is there are thousands of professionally designed templates that you can then customize in your colors, your brands, your logos. Create, share, and schedule all your social media content on one simple platform, and that platform is Gipper. Go to Gipper.com. We want to say thanks to Booster Hub, the number one booster club software program. If you work with your booster club, you know that volunteer signups and volunteer changes are a daily thing. Well, with Booster Hub, nothing falls through the cracks. Everybody stays connected and engaged. The same is true for sponsorship fees, for concession sales. Everybody stays connected with Booster Hub. Give your boosters the platform they need. Give them the platform they deserve. And that platform is Booster Hub. We want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's through the Ohio program, but guess what? My assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others. And while they were all getting their degree, they also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. We want to thank our good friends at Hometown. Hometown's suite of solutions includes things like, well, digital ticketing, of course, but how about fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction? The Hometown menu goes on and on. Whether you're an athletic director, a coach, even a principal, Hometown's going to show you how to save time. They're going to show you how to make more money, and they're going to show you how to bring your entire community together. You're going to find it all at hometown.com. That's hometown.com. And finally, we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you're not using a survey to take the pulse of your student athletes, your coaches, even your parents, you're missing out on a great opportunity. go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that really connects you with everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. And once again, make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to Pennsylvania today. We've had a number of ADs on from that great state, but today is a first in our, well over 700 interviews and, 1,400 segments. This is the first time that we've ever had a guest who is deaf, and she is joined by an American Sign Language interpreter. First of all, we'd like to welcome our guest, Kallie Mendenhall. Kallie is a registered athletic administrator. She's the athletic director and coach at the Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf. Kallie, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to be here today.
And we are joined by Josh Walterhouse. He's an ASL interpreter, and obviously he's going to be helping Kallie share her thoughts on the podcast today. Josh, welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Kallie, we always like to let our guests, let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us your quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up. Maybe take us up through your own college days, and then we'll take a break. But what's the Kallie Mendenhall origin story?
Well, yes, hello. I grew up in a very small town. I was the only deaf person in my hometown. I grew up thinking that I was the only person and that had that experience. That was normal to me. But later, as I grew up, I realized that I was quite unique. But really, what was my saving grace was sports. Realizing that I was different than other people because I couldn't hear specific things. But anyways, honestly, I don't like talking about myself a whole lot. I like to share my experience and how I'm using my experience to make things better for other deaf and hard of hearing athletes out there. So I hope that your listeners will take that away today, take away some nuggets and how they can maybe help their local deaf and hard of hearing athletes, student athletes. I was always involved in sports, travel teams. My two passions are basketball and softball. I really just dove into those sports. I grew up playing them. Varsity in a small town in Texas, about 2 hours east of Dallas. And at that time, I think maybe there were 450, 500 people. It's grown. The town has grown quite a bit over the ensuing years. But, I just grew up playing all kinds of sports, being involved in that. And my senior year, we actually moved out to California. And the plan was for me to go to a community college. I was going to do a 1-year residence in state because I was going to play basketball for community college. I was a point guard in basketball as a starter there, but the school district said that I'd have to learn ASL, sign language. And I should back up at this point and say, up to this point in my life, I had only used spoken language. But in California, they said, if you're a deaf person, you should learn ASL, American Sign Language. It was my senior year of high school. I was 18 years old. I was kind of like, really? Should I? I don't know. But I agreed to it. And the first day of class, I began learning ASL, picked it up quite quickly. I started as a point guard in that community, Sacramento, California, if anyone's wondering the city. I played softball there as well and picked that up. And as I just mentioned, I had planned to go to American River Community College out there. But as fate would have it, life changed during my senior year because Gallaudet University, I don't know if you're familiar with Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C. Yeah. Anyways, their basketball coach was very well known. Kitty, last name is Baldridge. And women's basketball coach there, she heard about me, that there was this deaf girl who was a really good point guard out in California and started to recruit me. And I said, no, I just moved out here from Texas with the whole purpose of following my plan, going to community college. And she said, no, come to Gallaudet. There are so many folks here like you. And I wasn't sure about it. She said, well, why don't you come out for a weekend? And I agreed to do that. again, my senior year, and I'm getting ready to graduate. I flew out from California and I met a lot of people who were just like me, who signed, who were deaf, who had similar life experiences, who had experienced similar barriers in their lives. And I flew back home to California and I said, nope, that's it. I'm going. I'm going to Gallaudet. And I changed my mind to go there. So I did then go to Gallaudet for several years and I majored in business administration. And during that time, of course, you know it, I was involved in sports, basketball, softball. I was a catcher all 4 years uh, during that experience. And basketball, I was a point guard for 2 years. And at the after 2 years, it was hard. It was a hard moment, but I had to let basketball go. But I maintained softball because my heart's always been there. Uh, we had Coach Sarah in softball, and she was so supportive throughout my career, throughout my 4 years there at Gallaudet University. When I got ready to graduate, I felt a little consternation. I felt like I wasn't really done with basketball at that point, so I tried out for the USA Deaf Women's basketball team at that time. In 2008 was the year, and they were playing for a world championship. And I actually made the team at that time. And that summer, we went out and played in China in that year. And a lot of the ladies on the team were older than me. There were a couple of us that were the young ones in the group. We didn't get a lot of playing time, but nonetheless, I was so determined to support the team and show good sportsmanship and meet as many people as I could. I just loved that experience. I did get to play some games. The championship game, unfortunately, I didn't get to play at all in that game. And I'll admit I was a little disappointed in the moment, but the best I could with what I could do as far as supporting the team, cheering them on, representing the United States of America, representing deaf women. We did win the championship. We got the gold that year, so it was a great year for us. We were very excited. But a poignant moment was when Coach Laura Edwards is her name. She was the head coach of the U.S. Deaf Women's team. She came up to me and she said, it's time for you to go interview. They had all kinds of media there. Of course, this is a world event. And she said, you want me? I said, you want me to interview? I didn't even play. She said, no, no, no. I saw you supporting your team, showing great sportsmanship, staying positive, helping any way you could. I want you to go interview. You deserve this interview. And I said, well, I don't know what to say, coach. But she worked through it with me. She supported me during that interview. And I can't remember everything I said, but that was a poignant moment for me because Coach Laura saw what I had contributed to the team. Even though I was on the bench, that I was supporting the team and being a representative of the United States of America. But that's kind of my bio in a nutshell, my upbringing all the way through my college years. So, and I'm sure I could tell you many, many stories, but I don't want to bore your listeners.
Wow, what an incredible journey! I think we could just end the show right now, but I don't want to. We've got a lot more to cover. I want to go back to growing up. I guess maybe a couple of things. As you were getting involved with sports, you said sports was really your thing. Um, and how did your coaches in youth teams in high school? Because you said you didn't even use American Sign Language. How was the communication going on between coach and athlete, or with athlete and teammates?
That's a really great question that you would ask. At that time, we had marker boards we'd use, dry erase boards, gestures. Basketball is so easy and softball as well because there's so much body movement, so much that can be expressed in body movement, and that's a great positive for deaf athletes. They're very attuned to body language. Also, utilizing different colors, we could come up with different prompts or signs or gestures, cards of different colors. So those were nice ways to communicate, and they were very accommodating.
Yeah. And again, I think the goal is hey, we're going to get this done. We're going to run this play. We're going to set a pick. Or I'm not a baseball guy. I was a track guy. So whatever commonalities, universal things that happen in softball, you were able to communicate that with your teammates and your coaches.
Hmm. Yeah, indeed.
Um, okay, jumping back, fast forwarding. College, great college experience. Basketball and softball. Playing on a world stage. As you were getting ready to wrap up college, were you already thinking potential career? Was it just living to the moment, day to day? I always thought I was going to get drafted by the NFL, even though I was at a small college. But what were your thoughts as you were getting ready to again leave college?
Yeah, well, I knew in college, as I mentioned, I majored in business administration, but I knew I wanted to be involved in sports. I didn't know if I could maybe get a career as an athletic trainer or in sports management. Those were the two that I was thinking. And I applied for both programs, and one in Minnesota and another one in Maryland, actually, for the athletic trainer program. But I was accepted to both, and I wasn't quite sure what I would do, but I did pick sports management at that time because it was a really appealing program. So I went to the Mankato
Okay, yeah.
for my master's program. I went to Mankato for my master's program, excuse the interpreter, University of Mankato
Mm-hmm.
in Minnesota.
Um, let's go and take our first break. And when we come back, I'm going to have our guest, Kallie Mendenhall, share her post college journey that's now brought her to her current job at Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf. So please stay with us. We're coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Sideline Interactive Indoor Score Tables and Video Boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You can schedule a live web demo to see all their great products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an athletic director was our Sideline Interactive Indoor Score Table. We use it for home games, of course, but we also use it for pep rallies and for signing ceremonies. Their products are tremendously versatile and their customer service just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Go to huddle.com, join the millions of users, and find out how to turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. And as always, make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Once again, our guest is Kallie Mendenhall. She's the Director of Athletics at Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf. And we are also joined by Josh Walterhouse, who is Kallie's ASL interpreter for this interview. Kallie, you took our listeners up through your own journey, college as a college student athlete, and again, playing, on a national level. Had to be exciting, but real life beckons. Can you share with our listeners, your journey so far, career-wise? What was going on as you were leaving college, and the journey that's now brought you to your current job at Western Pennsylvania?
Okay, well, really, after I finished my career at Gallaudet University, I went straight to grad school to focus on a master's in sports management, as I mentioned a moment ago. At the time, going to grad school, I knew I needed to get that crucial work experience. So I worked as a paraprofessional to gain experience. I didn't want to just do anything, do nothing rather, excuse me, interpreter, but I would volunteer, I would help anywhere I could. Once I was done in Minnesota, I had an internship at Minnesota State Academy for the Deaf, MSAD. So I did my internship there, and I realized in that moment that I truly loved working as an athletic director. But I also realized that teachers of the deaf were in need as well. And I knew that my college career wasn't going to end there. I needed to continue my education to become a teacher of the deaf, certificated. So I moved to Ohio and I finished my master's for sports management, and I went straight into a master's in deaf education at that point. At the same time, I was coaching girls volleyball and basketball. And gaining that crucial experience. When I finished up my master's in deaf education, I began to look around, and obviously, athletic director positions weren't really in vogue at that point. There weren't a lot, but I did get to work with young deaf and hard of hearing kids in a public school in a mainstream environment as a teacher, and learned a lot, got a lot of experience, met a lot of people, and loved my time there. And then I moved to Pittsburgh. My husband took a job there, and so I began to work at WPSD as a life skills teacher in the high school. And at that time, I also was coaching basketball, getting involved in coaching softball for a year, and gaining again just more experience. Our long time, I would say lifelong athletic director, Val Wooten is his name. He retired. He decided to retire, and the athletic director position opened up at that point. So I applied for that, and I was able to get the job. However, I was working as a teacher and an athletic director, so you know how that is, a lot of hats to wear. But it really helped me to get more involved with the coaches, and it helped me learn so much more. And as a life skills teacher, after that, I became a transition teacher for the past 2 or 3 years. I've been an athletic director and a transition teacher, and it's been really great working with the students, applying what they're learning to athletics. And this fall, I'll be accepting a new position as the after school program coordinator, which includes all of the athletic director duties as well as transition, social media, and after school clubs and events. So I'm truly excited about that coming this fall.
Yeah, we're going to jump into all things Western Pennsylvania in our next segment. For this one, you mentioned you were starting out. You were coaching teams. You were, coaching, girls who, were also deaf. I guess I'm curious. You
Mhm.
mentioned growing up. You didn't have, you wasn't even using sign language. And there was nobody like you as you were working with these girls, these student athletes, was there any sort of wow, I wish I would have had this, when I was growing up, or was it, wow, it's just so cool to be able to work with these girls and provide them, my perspective as a deaf coach, also a pretty darn good coach.
Yeah, thank you. I think I wish I had had the access that they have. They're so fortunate in that, and it's great, and I'm glad to provide that. But just like anyone else, we have different backgrounds, right? Some students come from a family who don't know any sign language, or maybe they're just picking up sign language, like I was when I was their age, or maybe they've been using ASL all of their lives. So it's really nice to have a common culture and a bond around our modality of communication, but also just enjoying sports and giving them all those opportunities that sports bring, giving them experience. I also have included transition work in that, how to solve problems, how to communicate with a team, how to be a team player, and all those things. So it's really nice to see kind of from the beginning of any given year to the end of any given year, how those student athletes grow throughout that period.
Mhm. Now, as you, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but it's okay. As you were working at Western, you came on in a couple of different roles, and athletic connections, obviously, coaching, et cetera, after school. Was that AD position? Were you saying, "Hey, that's something I would like to do," even before it came open, or did that just kind of, just suddenly happen?
Uh, to be honest, Val at the time, being the athletic director, he had been there for such a long time and then decided to retire. I had been asking him advice and what I should do, and he's the one that encouraged me to apply for it. He's just such a wonderful mentor to me. He's been absolutely wonderful. And these days, he still comes to volunteer, helps me out scorekeeping as a scorekeeper or doing the scorebook or whatever I need. He's always there. But I knew that, that's what I wanted to do in the future. And as I age and later on, when it's my turn to retire, I know that I'm still going to be involved by volunteering and helping grow this effort as well.
Right. Oh, it's so great that when, you have that mentor relationship and they can stick around, they don't just, disappear on you. And as far as, keeping the scorebook, you always
Right.
need somebody to keep that scorebook.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it is. It's nice. And I would tell everyone this, don't expect to know everything yourself. Never be afraid to ask questions.
Mm,
Always ask questions. Ask for help.
yeah. That's one of our most frequently mentioned tools in the toolbox. So, don't give away all your tools right now. Save those for the end of the show. Okay.
Sure, we'll do.
Let's go and take another quick break. Once again, our guest today is Kallie Mendenhall, along with her American Sign Language interpreter Josh. We're coming back with more, so please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Home Campus for their support of the podcast. Home Campus is one of those platforms that you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results, communication with coaches and parents, facility management. Did I mention athletic eligibility and clearance? That one alone is a game changer. Like I said, Home Campus does these better, does it faster than the other platforms out there. Go to homecampus.com to find out more. That's homecampus.com. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Now, Wall of Fame has been helping schools bring their legacy to life for over a decade with their video boards, but their new content creation service, it truly is a thing of beauty. You need to go to vitalsignswalloffame.com and click on Content Services. Their talented team of writers and creators is going to take your story, your school's history, your kids, your coaches, and come up with compelling narratives that you can then post on your school's social media channel. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com and click on Content Services. You're going to be very glad you did. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Gipper's the modern marketing platform that makes it very easy for any athletic department to look like they're Division One, to look like they're professional grade. Gipper's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college athletic programs. Go to Gipper.com to see why they're rated number one for marketing. They are number one because of their thousands of professionally designed templates that you can then customize with your colors, your brands, your logos to create, share, and schedule all your school's social media. Go to Gipper.com to get started. And again, with all of our sponsors, make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast and our guest, Kallie Mendenhall. She's the Director of Athletics for the Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf. We're also joined by her interpreter, Josh Walterhouse, the ASL interpreter. Kallie, share with our listeners a little bit about Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf. What's the enrollment? How many teams do you have? And what are some things that you're particularly proud of as their director of athletics?
Well, WPSD is based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with the area, but we have about 140, 150 students on this campus here in Pittsburgh. All of them are deaf or hard of hearing. We do accept a few students who need primarily need communication access, who may have hearing, but they need communication access. We have wonderful students, wonderful staff. Our administration is highly supportive. It's great because it's a small community, so we're all very tightly knit. We do have sports teams in the fall. We have soccer and volleyball and basketball. We also offer track And we just established a boys volleyball and a girls flag football team as well. We're working currently on pickleball as well. That's the next horizon there. We also have esports, which we're really excited about because we're meeting our students' needs. We're giving them opportunities uh, per their population, what they need. So everything's in sign language. There's full access everywhere. It's wonderful. Our administrators, as I said, are great. Our teachers are very supportive. They're very aligned with academics and sports, athletics overall, and what our goals are. Right now, the school and athletics are aligned in their vision, and our vision is access, belonging, and commitment, or ABC. So it's really nice to have that collaboration between both departments, academics and athletics, and have the same mission. And we have a culture set. And this fall we're really going to kick off um, a Roar Together, Soar Together campaign, and that aligns with again those values of access, belonging, and commitment. Um, but yeah, that's kind of who we are. We're a wonderful school. Uh, you may not realize that there are so many deaf schools and programs throughout the state of Pennsylvania as well as across the nation, but there are quite a few.
Again, appreciate you sharing. Sounds like you got a great mix of the traditional sports, basketball, volleyball, but again, flag football is one of those emerging sports. It's blowing up in Florida, and esports. Very
Yes,
very proud that we had an esports program at my school in Tallahassee, where I was at before I retired. Um, you kind of
great.
answered, my next question. I was going to say, who do your teams primarily play? Is it other deaf schools, or do you play, schools with hearing students, or is it a mixture of both?
Very astute question. Thank you for asking that. I actually schedule the games. We do play in local competitions. WPSD is a part of the SWCAC, which is the Southwestern Christian Athletic Conference here in Pennsylvania. Very small. They're schools of similar enrollment, but they are hearing students, obviously. But we then also compete against other deaf schools, such as Ohio School for the Deaf, Pennsylvania School for the Deaf, New York School for the Deaf. There are so many different schools for the deaf in the region, West Virginia included. So we schedule games with them. And near the end of the year, we play in the Eastern States Deaf excuse the interpreter, Eastern States Schools for the Deaf Athletic Association. We have tournaments for every sport. We run tournaments for every sport. And so all of the teams come together for those tournaments, and it's quite an experience. ESDAA has 17 member schools in the region, and we're divided into two divisions. We have Division 1 and 2, obviously. WPSD is a part of Division 1 in that conference. So we play against one another at the end of the sports season. A lot of people don't know about ESDAA, the organization. It's really nice, and it's great that we play the local games because it gives us experience, and then we're ready for those deaf school tournaments towards the end of the season. That helps us get prepared.
Now, I know you have a leadership position in the ESDAA. Before we jump into that, like most schools, or most ADs, that schedule, you're looking for competitive games. You want to have a chance to win. We all like to win. But we're trying to teach those bigger lessons. But I'm sure you have teams at your school, Western Pennsylvania, that right now they're on an upcycle. They got good talent, they've got great coaching, and they're winning. And maybe sometimes they need stronger competition. And then you've got other teams that, hey, you're trying to build that. Does the local league that you play in, because I was an AD at a small school, so I know exactly what you're talking about, scheduling private schools, faith-based schools, etc. Sometimes
Hmm.
you've got one school that they're just bringing in all stars from other schools as ringers, and then you got the other extreme where they're great kids and we love them, but they can't dribble the ball and chew gum at the same time, and it's just a blowout. So what do you do as the AD to kind of manage that competition level and provide your teams with the competition they need at that moment?
Well, I think we always look at the student population. I start with what are their needs and what is their developmental level as a team. And often schools in the conference we're a part of, they often can stomp us. But those are opportunities for us to learn sportsmanship, win or lose. Winning is not everything. I talk about that all the time. And it is a great opportunity to teach our students to do their best, to learn how to communicate with one another, to increase teamwork, and build those other areas that we're going to take to ESDAA, which is highly competitive. And so we do find that it helps us be better prepared. Many schools will come to us and say, "Wow, your school WPSC, you would show such tremendous sportsmanship. Your athletes are kind." And we often do come away with sportsmanship awards because of that experience. So I do get excited about that. Yes, you're right. It's not about winning all the time, but we do win a lot as well. We have middle school teams that win, and I get goosebumps when I talk about it, just because we do sometimes get smashed in our local conference, but our students are always excited to bring that level of competition to ESDAA as well.
Great answer. Absolutely. Let's go and talk about ESDAA. What's your role in it? And I think you mentioned you got some milestones coming up.
That is right. So ESDAA, I am currently serving as the president right now, and I have been for the last year and a half. Soon we'll be celebrating our 100th anniversary of the association. And so we'll kick that off in the fall of 26, and it'll run through the entire 26-27 school year. So they were founded in 1926 and 27, and there are currently 17 member schools, all in the Eastern Seaboard area here. A lot of schools are just like us. They have similar experiences. They face local hearing schools, and they get ready for that deaf school competition, be it at the Division I or Division II level. So, as I mentioned, I am the president, and I always want to involve students in the process. With this 100th anniversary, I thought that was a great opportunity. I'm really excited that the board will be meeting actually in 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now, to discuss different ways to make our tournament all that much more successful, and how we can involve the student athletes or even students who aren't athletes. For example, one school, the Learning Center, out in Massachusetts, one of our member schools, they've agreed to create all of our ESDAA medals out of wood. They're going to laser engrave their wood through their Career and Technical Education Center there. WPSD has agreed to create all of the tournament T-shirts. We have a T-shirt program because in our transition program, we're teaching our students how to be able to press T-shirts. Another school, for example, Millneck Manor, a school for the deaf up in New York, they will be making 3D printed keychains for our ESDAA tournaments. So it's really nice to have that collaboration between all the member schools and getting those students involved in different ways. So we're truly excited about that.
Well, that is just such a great example of, you mentioned a collaboration. Sometimes we can't get any schools that we're involved with in a league to cooperate in any way. So that's fantastic that they're doing that for the kids. Kallie, we're going to do this at the end of the show, but I want to do it now too. If one of our listeners wants to reach out, find out more about maybe ESDAA, or just add you to their network, and Josh, yours too, how do our listeners get in touch with Kallie Mendenhall?
Feel free to send me an email. Also, you can reach out on LinkedIn. I have a presence there as well. WPSD Athletics has a Facebook page, so that's a great way to connect.
Okay. And go ahead and give out that email address. We'll put it in the show notes too.
All right, sure. It's K Mendenhall, Mendenhall at WPSD.org. K Mendenhall at WPSD.org.
And Josh, if you don't mind, can we get your email address too?
Sure. It's J and my last name, Walter House, WALTERHOUSE at WPSD.org.
All right. Well, let's go and take another break. I know that's shocking for our regular listeners, but we are going to come back with more from Kallie Mendenhall and her interpreter, Josh. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Booster Hub. It's the #1 Booster Club software app. And if you work with your Booster Club, you know that volunteer signups and volunteer changes are just a daily occurrence. Well, with Booster Hub, nothing falls through the cracks. Everybody stays connected and engaged. The same thing is true with sponsorship fees or concession sales. How many of you have your boosters do concessions? Nothing gets past Booster Hub. Go to boosterhub.com. Give your boosters the platform they need. Give them the platform they deserve. And that platform is Booster Hub. We'd also like to say thank you to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's through the Ohio program, but guess what? My assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others. And while they completed their master's degree, they also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. And we'd like to say thanks to Hometown. Now, Hometown's suite of solutions includes things like, well, digital ticketing, of course. They're still the #1 digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. But how about athletic website construction, fee-free fundraising through School Funder? The Hometown list really goes on and on. Whether you're an athletic director, a head coach, even a principal, Hometown is going to show you how to save time. They're going to show you how to raise more money. And they're going to show you how to bring your entire community together. You're going to find it all at hometown.com. And guess what? Tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast and our guest, Kallie Mendenhall, the Director of Athletics at Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf. And we're also joined by Josh Walterhouse, her ASL interpreter. Kallie, I mentioned a couple times, you're a registered athletic administrator, so you've had exposure to the NIAAA and the leadership training courses. How did you first hear about the NIAAA? How did you hear about your own state association in Pennsylvania?
Great. So really, when I started this job, I knew immediately that I needed to get certifications, an RAA at least. I did my research, I did my homework, if you will, looked around to figure out what there was and establish a course for myself. I've always been a lifelong student, so it was really perfect for me to jump into the LTI courses, all of which were tremendous. I took most of them online. However, what was most impactful is when I went to the NIAAA conference back in December with a group of interpreters. There were a few of us deaf folks there, and we took some LTI courses there. That was such a wonderful experience, let me tell you, because just being able to see the commonalities between myself and other athletic directors, we're all facing similar issues and concerns. And, we all say if we had the money, we'd buy all the courses. One day I'll be there. But, I always tell myself when people ask me, why would you do this? You finished 2 master's degrees. Well, the answer is I'm always wanting to learn. And also I want to protect my students. I want to protect the school. I think that's really the #1 priority for me is protection. That's why I'm doing this. And because I want to be able to coach the other coaches and staff through any issues that come up as well, and making sure that we're all maintaining safety, which is always a top priority for me.
Wow, I think I'm going to steal that little snippet there and do a headliner commercial. We always try to give the NIAAA a shout out when people talk about that. But you're absolutely right. The lifelong learner, networking with other ADs, and again, making sure that you are, and I love that word protection. Protecting your coaches, protecting your kids. Now, In addition to the RAA courses, you've already completed the required coursework to sit for the CAA exam, and you mentioned you had that, coming up here in the future. As you look back at some of the LTI courses, any components of that stick out for you? That's just kind of burned into your memory when you were taking that course.
Uh, I'll be soon be taking my CAA. As you mentioned, it's really nice to have the notes and the booklets, but really I would say the most impactful thing was, I learned a lot of things in grad school 10 years ago, but a really great opportunity for LTI was legal risks. Is so important to make sure that you're looking at those, keeping up on what's changing on a daily basis, monthly basis, annual basis, because as we all know, the law is constantly evolving and changing, right? So that's a great way to stay up to date with what's going on, making sure that we're incorporating integrity and following the code of ethics. Any sort of course that covers legalities or ethics is something that I always encourage folks to take.
Yeah, again, we talked about this before we hit the record button. Taking those legal courses, it's usually one of two feelings, and sometimes both at the same time. Boy, this is really important stuff. I got to take this back to my coaches. And then the other is, we're not doing any of this stuff. We're really in trouble. I got to take this back to my coaches. Was that describe your experience on some of the coursework?
Yeah, yeah, very much so. But also just a great reminder. All of our kids are on social media, right? Every single one of our athletes is on social media. You need to make sure you have that in your handbooks. You need to make sure that your students are following a standard, that they understand the policy and that they're abiding by that. So that's really, really great. And our WPSD students are great kids, but just as a best practice, it's really important to have those social media policies in place.
Oh no, absolutely. Now I got to challenge you. Are you making plans to attend the national conference in Phoenix in December?
I am very hopeful I'll be able to have the opportunity. I have to get approval, of course, but I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So,
Yeah, I have a wonderful supervisor, so I'm definitely hoping that I'll get that approval. Also, not only that, I plan on going to Indy IAA, which is the National Deaf Interscholastic Athletic Association as well.
oh my God,
So,
wow. Okay.
which will happen in March, actually. It's a really neat thing. That's another thing I'm trying to do is bring a little more cohesion as athletic directors and to also to go to NIAAA as a group of deaf athletic directors to help them grow and know how they can better support us as well. And myself and another athletic director, Jeremy Cormer, the two of us are just really involved with NIAAA, and we're trying to encourage our other fellow deaf athletic directors to get involved in NIAAA as well. So we're really hoping to connect with NIAAA at a greater level between them and deaf schools. The other athletic director I just mentioned a moment ago is from Fanwood, New York School for the Deaf, Fanwood in White Plains, New York, and he just got his CAA. So I'm right in his footsteps. I've almost caught up to him. I'll be taking my exam pretty soon.
That's right.
The other wonderful thing about ESDAA is that all the athletic directors are so supportive. Again, we have just such a similar experience. I often say, you guys are my people. So,
Well, again, get that CAA. Don't let that guy, pull away from you. Also, you
right.
mentioned earlier that at Western Pennsylvania, you also have middle school sports. So when you go to Phoenix, I want you to sign up for hopefully both, but at least LTI 701. That's one of the middle school courses that I'm actually one of the teachers there. So you and I can make sure that we're going to connect. And if you
Great.
can't take 701, that's okay. There's a lot of other great courses out there, but let's definitely plan to connect when you're out in Phoenix. Okay.
For sure. That sounds great. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, Kallie, this has just been so cool having you on the show and also getting to know you a little bit. Josh, you too. But we're not done yet. we always wrap up with the athletic director's toolbox. Now, you certainly know your way around the world of athletics, but we're going to take our final break, hear from Athletic Surveys, who sponsor this segment. When we come back, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director on their first job, but I'm only going to let you put 3 tools in their toolbox. So let's take that break, and when we come back, we're going to see what Kallie Mendenhall puts in her new athletic director toolbox. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment. You know, in my schools, we use surveys for just about everything, for our student athletes, for our coaches. We even use them for parents. And here's the cool thing. The information that comes back on these surveys, almost always over the top positive, and it'll be the same for you. The surveys also allowed us to hear from our squeaky wheel parents, but we were able to find out what their concerns were, usually address them before they turned into something big. But going back to that positive data, it's incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, sometimes your principal, sometimes even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. And as always, make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with Kallie Mendenhall. She's the Director of Athletics at the Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf. We've also been joined by Josh Walterhouse, her interpreter. She's got a tremendous background as an athlete, as a coach, as a leader. But right now, I'm going to challenge her to send out a brand new athletic director on their first job, but I'm only going to let her put 3 tools in their toolbox. So, Kallie, what 3 tools are going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
Wow, there are so many things as you mentioned. As I look through my own toolbox, there are many things I could pull out. But one important piece of advice is bring your people together. It's not about the game itself. It's not even about championships. It's not about schedules. It's about bringing the community together, building one another up, pulling in those students, coaches, even alumni. That's a really important component that sometimes people don't think about because they can provide such support and they're so heavily invested in the students of today. And people that care are going to be invested, and the more invested they are, the more support you get. So that's really critical. So just again, heavily emphasize building your community. The second tool I would pull out is create a sense of belonging for each student, no matter which type of student you serve. For my particular population, it's deaf and hard of hearing students, but we still require trust. We have challenges. We have unique backgrounds and experiences. So my job is to make sure that each and every one of my student athletes feels included. And I know a lot of you athletic directors out there that are listening to this, you may not have any deaf or hard of hearing students in your school, and that's okay. But maybe for some of you, you do have that deaf or hard of hearing student. Look for those ways to include them in the programming. I find myself constantly asking myself, what is a barrier that my students are facing right now, my student athletes are facing right now, and looking for ways to destroy those barriers. As they're more involved, they'll grow in confidence, they'll be more willing to take risks, and they'll become leaders on their own right one day. And the last thing I would mention is, I think it's hard, but it's a good one. Try to make your students the center of what you're doing. Give them ownership in the program. There's always going to be challenges and pressures, but at the end of the day, we focus on student athletes as number one, as the priority, right? And I know we're all juggling as athletic directors, we're juggling all the schedules and everything else that goes with that. But I'm asking myself, how can I empower students to be involved in the process? Like I mentioned a moment ago about the 100th anniversary of ESTAA, and we're getting students involved in that. When we host tournaments, we get the students involved making T-shirts and program books because they take ownership of that. They take pride in the product of their work, and they take that with them into the future, well beyond athletics. As they're trusted with more responsibility, you see that culture build. You see that confidence grow in them. And really, you're building memories that they'll take with them for the rest of their lives. So remember, number one, build your community. Number two, create belonging. And number three, empower your students.
Boy, I love all three of them, and then they're so very important. You might even call those foundational tools for any athletic director. And you talked about including your students, and you're absolutely right. How many coaches, how many ADs are going to be thinking that? Well, geez, do I have a student who might be hard of hearing or might be challenged in another way? So, great advice. I'm not surprised at all. Kallie, thanks so much for coming on the show today, taking time into your busy summer to join us. And again, Josh, you too. Once again, if
Mhm.
our listeners want to reach out, pick your brain a little bit more, find out how you do things at your school, or just they want to add you to their network, what's the best way that our listeners can connect with Kallie Mendenhall?
Absolutely. Feel free to send me an email. Again, my email address is kmendenhall@wpsd.org. You can also find me on LinkedIn as well.
And
And I am
Josh?
happy to support you in any way I can, answer any questions that you may have, or provide any advice.
Well, we're definitely going to bring you back on the podcast. We'll do an update down the road. Josh, from your point, how can our listeners reach out and connect with you?
Sure, for any interpreting questions they might have, jwalterhouse@wpsd.org.
Well, we also want to say thanks to our listeners. We appreciate you tuning in. And just a reminder that we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories along with some best practices from the world of athletics. So please come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time.